Question number 19 says we have a simplifying the expression. This person determines the restrictions on the radical as 3 minus 5x is greater than 0. Now this is correct because 3 minus 5x has to be bigger than or equal to 0, but it also cannot be equal to 0 because we cannot divide by 0. So this is perfectly okay. So the next step, he subtracts 3 from both sides. And then the last step, he divides by negative 5. Now, it's in this last step where the error occurs because from going from here to here, dividing both sides by negative 5, when you divide or multiply by a negative, you have to flip the sign. So in this case here, although the answer is correct, he needs to flip the sign. So the restriction really should be x is less than 3 over 5. So why do variables involved in radical expressions sometimes have restrictions on their values? Well, the reason why is because we cannot have a negative in the square root. Okay, so we can't have negative in square root, and we cannot have 0 in the denominator. So that cannot happen. We cannot have 0 in the denominator. So those two things give us the restrictions. So the restriction for this one here would have been 3 minus 5x is greater than equal to 0 for the radical part, and then 3 minus 5x is not equal to 0 for the divide by 0 part. The last part of this says create an expression following radicals that does not have any restrictions. Well, there's lots of different answers. You can just put an x outside the radical, okay, and that would not give us any restrictions, or we have the radicals have no variables in them, so there wouldn't be a restriction on it. We could also, okay, so that would be one example. Another example would be we could actually just make sure that we don't get negatives in the square root by squaring, and that would ensure that we have no restrictions because it's not in the denominator and x squared plus 2 is always greater than 0. We could also put that in the denominator. So this is 3 of infinite solutions. I could actually put that into the denominator because x squared plus 2, not only is it not negative, but it's not equal to 0. So it satisfies both parts of the restrictions here and here. So that would be a justified solution.